Hey, how's it going? It's April 3rd, 2022. This is your Daily Sweet Talk. You know how sometimes people on the internet will be like, oh, cartoons for kids were way better when I was a kid. Uh, now that now they suck, and often that response will be met with, yeah, it's because you're not a kid anymore. They're not meant for you anymore. Of course, you're not gonna like them. You're not the target audience anymore. And to that I say, that makes sense. I do think that cartoons for kids, at least on like Cartoon Network, I prefer the stuff that's coming out now to the stuff that was out when I was a kid. To an extent, I like Billy and Mandy. I mean, I like a lot of the stuff that was on when I was a kid. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, very good. Adventure Time though is my favorite show, which is much more recent. I love Apple and Onion. I love Clarence. Clarence is a little bit older. Um, I feel like I kind of have a preference for newer stuff, at least in terms of Cartoon Network. Maybe also in terms of Disney Channel. I don't know. Gravity Falls is another one of my favorite shows. Netflix has some good stuff. Kid Cosmic. Excuse me. So I don't know. I personally kind of have a preference to the newer stuff, even though I'm not a kid anymore. But when it comes to like shows for very young kids, Disney Junior, Nick Jr., PBS Kids, I feel like there is a massive downgrade in quality, and I don't think you can just boil that down to, oh, you're not a kid anymore, it's not meant for you. Like, compare the first episodes of Arthur to the last episodes of Arthur. Compare classic Sesame Street to New Sesame Street, and its many HBO spin-offs. Compare Mr. Rogers to Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood. And it's stupid to complain about kids cartoons. I understand that, but I think that kids deserve the same quality of entertainment that we had when we were growing up. And it's a shame that they don't have like Between the Lions and Zaboomafoo and or any of that stuff anymore. They still have. I feel like the shows they have now just don't stand up to that old stuff, and I don't, and I think it's just objectively worse. I don't think it has anything to do with me not being a kid anymore. Um, be, because here's a great example of that: Ghost Rider, a show I had never seen before, and I just found a year or two ago. I should know exactly when because I really love that show. I immediately was like, this show is amazing, and I felt nostalgic for it, even though I didn't grow up with it, because I could see the heart put into it and the quality of the show, and it's like a PBS type show. I think it was maybe on PBS, WGBH, or whatever. Um, I do not get that looking at modern kids cartoons. They feel very cheap. The cheapness on Ghost Rider had a charm to it, and I think, and you can see that with a lot of, like, Dragon Tales isn't perfect. It's not, it's got some rough edges. Same for any the old cartoon, old PBS shows. Arthur, it's not perfect 2D animation, but it's still better than like motion tweening, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the budgets are just smaller, but I feel like even with the big networks like Nick Jr. had classic Blue's Clues, and even when that sort of got phoned in, they had like these cool puppets, and now it's just all like CG. And when people when they made when they transferred Rugrats, they brought Rugrats back to, and it was all CG. People were like, "Oh, this is hideous." But when they did it with Blue's Clues, people were like, "Oh, this is great." And I'm sure the show is still quality, but the fact that they changed the animation styles, I don't think CGI is objectively worse, but I do think in this case, the classic Blue's Clues style lended itself to the show a lot more. And I think this is just emblematic overall of the downgrade in entertainment for younger kids. There's also, of course, the fact that like they have to compete with YouTube garbage and whatever. I don't know.